Welcome back to the Off the Cuff podcast. I am Anthony AB, and this is my good friend over here. You want to introduce yourself, ma'am? I think everybody in the world knows you.
I don't think so. If they do, they need to get out more. Joy Winchester, and I'm excited to dive into today's topic because it's pretty deep and pretty heavy, but I think it's going to be good.
Today's subject is going to be interesting, and I do think that today's subject is very important. What we're going to talk about is our mental health is not a trend, it's survival. Our mental health is not a trend, it's survival. I read something that was really heavy, Joy. It was a parent, a mother. She was cleaning their house, and she waited until the last minute to clean her daughter, her 14-year-old daughter's room, because it was the junkiest. Of course, if you have teenagers, you understand that whole process. So she's cleaning the room, and she comes over by the journals, and they play jokes on each other quite often. They read each other's stuff and all that. So she goes over to the journal and she looks inside of the journal, and some of the stuff is really funny. You know, some of the later stuff was really funny, but some of the more recent things were kind of disturbing. She found several letters that her daughter had written, and these were goodbye notes that she had written. The mother, of course, was hysterical, and as soon as her daughter got home, she grabbed her, hugged her, and just they had the conversation. And it seems that the direction of the internet post that things are going so much better now, a lot of help, a lot of therapy, and things of that nature. But the daughter did express all the things in a letter, that she was being bullied at school, she was going through anxiety and all those types of things. And what it let me know, though, Joy, is when it comes to sometimes we're hiding the things that we're going through inside. It did allow me to understand something. Sometimes we don't know, and we don't know the root cause of a lot of things. We don't know what may trigger some things, but it did let me know that a lot of the students or a lot of the young people that we work with on a daily basis have and are going through some things that maybe we don't know about. So today we do want to talk about mental health, and we do want to talk about how it's not just a trend. We want to talk about its survival, some of the things that we can, hopefully we can give some information that can help them along the way as well.
Yeah, I think that what you're touching on is important. Mental health's always had a stigma, and now it's almost swung the other direction, which can almost be just as dangerous, right? We call it pop psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you hop online and you take a 10-question essay or quiz, and it says, are you depressed? And you answer 8 out of 10, and yes, you're depressed. Or, are you anxious? And you 5 out of 10, you're anxious. And I think sometimes we're so looking for answers that pop psychology, due to social media, TikTok videos, push us to want that, and we talked about this earlier, logical answer for why we don't feel perfect, because we're supposed to be perfect in a perfect world. And sometimes life ain't perfect. Sometimes we just don't feel good, and so not at all dismissing the mental health piece, but I also think there's a danger in people thinking they can take a quiz and do a self-help book and not get true support. In other words, they might read a book and they're like, well, this says that, if I just practice gratitude 3 times a day, and hey, I'm the queen of telling people this because it's true. Practice gratitude 3 times a day, you'll rewire your brain for positivity. It's true. There's some research behind it. Would I tell that to someone who's in depression? No, that's flippant. That's disregarding the severity of their need. And I guess where I'm going with this is that the mental health world is fighting to stay legitimate. It's fighting to really help people before they die by suicide, before they jump into addictions, before they jump into disorders. And I say jump into disorders, eating disorders, if you have body dysmorphia, or, even some types of dissociation, because you want to believe life is one way, but you just don't want to deal with the other. people now roll their eyes when you talk about cognitive behavioral therapy. It's solid, but you can't do it on your own. Humans need humans.
Joy, I was thinking when you were saying that once upon a time, mental health was looked at totally different.
Mm-hmm.
I know growing up, I would hear this word that you shouldn't use. It's crazy, just crazy. And you just put all health in one extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And because we didn't understand, and that's usually what we do when we don't understand something. We're quick to say, we've become those old people that used to sit in the yard and go, oh, those young whippersnappers. And we've become that now because we tend to say things like Gen Z, they just, they're just wuss. They can't deal with anything. They're just weak. But really what I find is they're a lot more open to at least talk and discuss things, and it's not rehearsed, or it's not something that's shunned in today's society as it's been in the past. In the past, it was just like, keep it all a secret if you have something going on, and don't talk about it, don't discuss it or whatever. So I have learned that. But what I really would love to see is mental health being normalized. If we look at our physical health and we go to the gym and we pay memberships that many of us don't even go to take advantage of, if we look at our mental health that way, then I think that we'll be a lot further along, at least to be able to look at it as something that is normal. And this is not something that's totally off the chain all the time. And of course, like I said, we go to the extremes. Well, they're going to do this and they're doing that, and they're saying these things and they're shooting people, or they're this. Yeah, of course, there are extremes in every measure. But I do think that if we normalize mental health, we'll be better off. We even look at our spiritual health. Many of us go to church on the weekends and during the week because we feel that our spiritual lives should be filled. Again, in our physical life, I walk every morning. We should make mental health the exact same thing.
Of course. And I think that's where it's a part of being human and balanced. But here's the thing. Why work on mental health when I can jump on social media, or I can jump on YouTube, or I can jump and get quick dopamine hits and feel better, and I don't even have to think about what I need to handle, like communication issues with my family, or handling my temper, or having a negative outlook. I think, and when you were talking about the crazy, I had to laugh because the word lunatic, right? It comes from people being crazy with the cycles of the moon. And you can ask people, are people more crazy when there's a full moon? And people will swear by it. Oh, there's more people coming in the ER. There's more crime. There's more this, there's more that. I have friends who are nurses who will fight me in the street to say, Joy, when there's a full moon, the crazies are out. And there's really no science to prove it. And when I say that, people are like, she's a fool. I know, but this is part of what the brain does. It's like if I say, I'm going to punch you every time I hit a yellow car, see a yellow car, you're going to start finding yellow cars. And so when people are acting crazy, you're like, what's the moon look like? I can pretty much tell you there's murders on crescent moons. There's drug use on waning gibbous moons. There's waxing crescent moons. There's everything happens every night of the month. I seriously doubt we only need police officers on the full moons. But anyways, all that being said, you're right. We're always logically looking. And something else, there's another phrase that's been around since the 14th century, and it's she's beside herself. And what that means is that she's acting in a way that's not herself. And that is pretty cool because even that far back, people realized when you're overstressed, when you're super angry, when you're not yourself, you're beside yourself. You're a shadow of yourself, right? Hey, you got a minute? Because that's all the average American has is 1 minute. Our attention spans are so short that we really don't have time to focus on anything else. But here's what's crazy. We know more about how our cell phones work than our brains work. But who has time to dive deep into neuroscience? You do. 1 minute a day. Dive in. Just, hey, you got a minute. Neuro Minutes to Microdose Neuroscience. Grab a copy. Change your life 1 minute a day.
and go and get the book. It's awesome.
I'm going to throw a challenging piece out there, Anthony.
Mhm.
It's probably not going to be really well received, but here we go. What if we have swung so far to the other side with our little children, okay?
Mm.
Our littles. We have swung so far to the other side that if they feel sadness, because we haven't taught them how to feel sad when they're 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? We want to make them happy. We're going to happy them up. That when they do feel sad as a teenager, because no one's taught them to regulate it,
Mhm.
suddenly it's depression.
Mm.
What if when I'm angry, what if when I'm anxious about what's going to happen, what if it's just anxiety, but it's not a disorder? What if the normal feels because everyone tried to numb childhood, and when they hit adolescence, they don't really have a lot of those, they have to fall back on their own numbing strategies, right? What
Yeah.
if? And this little girl that you talked about who wrote all this stuff in her journal, as a mom, I would reach out and be like, let's talk it through. Let's get you the help you need. But also just wondering, are you just having 4 or 5 bad days? And suddenly you just think it's the end of the world? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I
Mm.
think I think there's a lot that we don't let kids feel feels. And what's really fascinating is before the age of 7, when a kid feels an emotion, they feel it in its entirety, its purest form. And the reason they do that is so hopefully they're with a regulated adult who can say, you're angry. Let me show you how to handle that. Not stop being angry. We're
Mm.
not angry. Dry it up. Fix your face. Okay? If I teach you how to handle it at 4 and 5, then when you're 7 and above and you start feeling combo messy emotions like sadness and anger, you've already know how to handle anger because you've handled it in its purity. You've already handled sadness, hopefully, in its purity, and you can handle the bigger things.
Very good, very good. I think also, Joy, what we love to do is to try to give people not just feedback. We don't want to just give them information. We want to give them some solutions or some strategies of some sort that maybe they can take and use. And one of the strategies that I think that we can approach and that has been, I have a lot of success with this, has been just kind of have, I guess you could, for lack of a better expression, we can call it like a mental health toolkit. And with me, it all starts with the basis of relationship and understanding the individual that you're working with, and that's whether you're a guardian, a minister, a therapist, a social worker, or even a parent at any sort. One of the things that I've noticed is if you have that in that toolkit, what you need is maybe a crisis line information. You
Yep.
know, trusted adults that you know of. Let's make sure that you have that in that toolkit. And what are some of those things, some of those strategies that you teach young people, and the young at heart I always go back to about mental health as well? What are some things that could relieve that a little bit? I love going on long walks. I love listening to music, calming exercises and things like that. I think that those things really help quite often. As a matter of fact, one of my classrooms, once upon a time, we had classical music playing in the classroom as the students would work along. We noticed sometimes they work a lot better when they have a little music in the background. Now, then there are other students that don't want to hear anything. It's just like I need to totally focus. So it's of course there is no cookie cutter process.
No.
You must know the individual you're working with, the teen or the young person that you're working with. It's up to you to know who this individual is. And you can't get to know who this individual is without active listening and building a rapport, building that relationship over time, or whatever. So that's one of the things that I think that they should do. A mental health toolkit.
So from a neuro world, Dr. Daniel Amin says mental health is brain health.
Mm.
Okay. So are you sleeping? Are you eating healthy foods? Are you drinking? Hydration. Are you staying hydrated? And that does not mean coffee.
Mhm.
That means water. That means, it does not mean sugar and sodas, right? Are you detoxing from technology? Are you connecting with other people? Are you doing all the things that your brain needs?
Mm.
Because once you check all those boxes, a lot of times that weight clears up. And everything you just said was those boxes, right? Moving the body to move the brain, exercise, music. Believe it or not, music helps a lot of people either feel happy or, some people going through breakups will play sad music and they'll just be like, I just loved her. She was the best. And they're listening to the saddest music and you're like, dude, play something happy. So music can help. But all that, just remember this before or as you're talking with people, make sure they're sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
Sleep is so underrated right now. We live in a constant society of, hey, one more video, one more TikTok, one more reel, whatever. Just stop. Step aside, detox from it. Give your brain a break. Be bored. Nothing wrong with being bored. But
Right.
brain health is mental health. And I think everything you said, if you tag it with that, you can help a young person realize if they truly do need help and stay away from pop psychology.
Yeah.
There's a reason psychologists and psychiatrists go to school for as long as they do, and they don't just sit on TikTok and watch the reels, okay? They go to school, and it's definitely a study that is necessary, if that makes sense. We
It does.
cannot dilute it. We cannot say, I'm going to put this in a 5-question piece where you choose a cat or a banana or a marshmallow, depending on how you feel. Pop psychology is not where it's at.
Another thing that we can use is normalizing check-ins. One of the things
Yep.
that we were talking about not too long ago, Joy, and I actually started using this, is high-low buffalo. It's like really checking in with the youth that you're working with or whatever. And I know that within those conversations, you may start it out not having a solution in your mind and no clue, but developing that foundation. And again, going back to relationship, it just doesn't happen unless
Yeah.
you establish some type of trust, some type of bond, some type of a way that they would open up to you. And people always ask, well, what do we do? Well, the reason why we don't give specifics to your case all the time is because you know your child, you know what they like, you know their ins and outs, you know if they're into athletics, you know if they're into science, you know if they're into music, you know that child. So take the information that we're expressing and utilize that within and mold that to your own process.
100%. And you need to go ahead and tell everybody what Hi-Ho Buffalo is, because everyone may not be as blessed as you are
I think
to
you should
have such an
explain that.
amazing tool.
I think you should explain that a little bit more. I think you should explain that. That's good. What basically what high is what's the most electrifying, awesome thing that happened to you today? And what's your low? Your low is what's the worst thing that kind of happened to you today? What was that thing that just blew your mind? Or what was that thing you were like, I can't believe that this happened or whatever. But then there's that buffalo. It's that thing that's just off the cuff. What is that thing that's like, tell me something interesting or tell me what's on your mind. And that's where the magic happens as well. And all of it is, again, establishes the foundation of that relationship.
And what's really cool about that is if you do that you can do that with any age, but especially middle school boys, early elementary boys, they look so forward to high-low buffalo, the buffalo, because they want to say the craziest thing to make you go, what? That they will do the high, they will do the low, and they're not going to be putting up boundaries because they're trying to get to the buffalo. And Anthony does it with teens. So if it works with teens, it can work with just about anybody. You'll also notice Anthony didn't ask me because he knows he's always afraid of my off the cuff.
Did not ask you, Joy. Did not ask you. Well, hey, we're at the end of another one of our wonderful shows. Hope that you guys got something out of that. We do want you to like, subscribe, and do all the stuff that social media desires for us to do. But as always, we want you to be kind.
Be curious.
And keep showing up. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
I wrote a book. Go check it out. Now, the book is called How to Eat an Elephant. And the old adage, of course, is one bite at a time. It's a book about young people and how to work with youth of today, but it's more about you, the adult, person that cares for the young person, the advocate, the person that works with young people all the time. I want you to check it out.
Finally, a book written by someone who's walked the walk and not only talks the talk. Real talk. Deuces.